Have you ever shared something you cared about deeply, only to watch someone crush it with a few careless words? How many dreams have we buried after someone told us they wouldn't work, not because the dreams were impossible, but because they were fragile, and we exposed them before they had strength to stand? It happens more often than we think. Today's story isn't just about protecting what matters to you. It's about understanding why some dreams need silence before they can grow strong enough to survive the world. By the end, I'll share a simple practice that takes less than 30 seconds each morning, but changes how you hold on to what's precious. Let's begin. There was once a young woman who lived in a small village at the edge of a forest. She spent her days weaving cloth and her evenings watching the sky change colors. Life moved slowly there, and most people were content with what they had. But this woman felt different. She wanted to build something with her hands that would last beyond her lifetime. One morning, she decided she would create a garden unlike any the village had ever seen. Not just flowers and vegetables, but a place where rare plants could thrive, where people could walk and feel peace settle into their bones. She'd been collecting seeds for months, learning about soil and seasons, dreaming about pathways and benches carved from fallen wood. She was excited. The dream felt like a fire inside her chest, warm and bright. So she did what many of us do when something fills us with hope. She told people about it. At the market, she mentioned her plan to a neighbor. The woman frowned and said, "A garden? We already have gardens. Why waste your time?" The young woman's excitement dimmed slightly, but she pushed the comment aside. Perhaps this neighbor simply didn't understand her vision. That afternoon, she shared her idea with a friend. "You?" The friend laughed. "You don't know the first thing about rare plants. They'll all die, and you'll have nothing to show for it." The warmth in her chest grew a little cooler. By evening, she told 3 more people. Each one had something discouraging to say. One called it impractical. Another said she was being foolish. A third simply shrugged and walked away, as if the dream wasn't even worth discussing. The young woman went home feeling heavy. The fire that had burned so brightly that morning was now merely a flicker. She sat by her window and wondered if everyone was right. Maybe she was foolish. Maybe she should just keep weaving cloth and watching sunsets. The next day, she walked into the forest to clear her head. Deep among the trees, she found an old woman sitting on a stone, shelling nuts into a wooden bowl. The young woman had seen her before, but had never spoken to her. "You look troubled," the old woman said without looking up. The young woman hesitated, then sat down beside her. "I had a dream," she said quietly. "But I told people about it, and now it feels like it's dying." The old woman nodded slowly. "Show me your hands." The young woman held them out, confused. The old woman examined them carefully. "Strong hands," she said. "Hands that can build. But tell me, when you plant a seed, do you dig it up every day to show your neighbors?" "No," the young woman replied. "That would kill it." "Exactly." The old woman returned to her nuts. Some things need darkness and silence to grow roots. Dreams are like that. When they're new, they're fragile. Every word of doubt is like a foot stepping on fresh soil, crushing what's trying to grow beneath. The young woman felt something shift inside her. "So I shouldn't have told anyone?" The old woman smiled. "Not yet. Not when the dream was still forming. You see, most people don't mean to hurt you, but they carry their own failed dreams, their own fears. When you share something new and tender, their fears speak louder than their love for you. Then, what should I do?" The old woman poured the shelled nuts into a small bag and handed it to her. "Protect your dream the way you'd protect a seedling. Keep it close. Work on it quietly. Let it grow strong in the darkness of your own dedication. When it has roots deep enough that nothing can pull them out, then you can bring it into the light. Then people's words won't matter, because the dream will be real enough to speak for itself." The young woman walked home with those words settling into her heart. She didn't tell anyone else about her garden. Instead, the work began in early mornings before the village woke. Behind her house, a small patch of land waited. Careful preparation filled her days, mixing soil with everything she'd learned, planting her first seeds, watering them with quiet patience. Weeks passed, then months. Sometimes she felt lonely, working in silence. She wanted to share her progress, to show someone the first green shoots pushing through the earth. But the old woman's words came back to her. The memory of how quickly her fire had dimmed when she'd exposed it too soon kept her silent. So she kept working. A low fence took shape first. Then came a path, built from smooth stones collected at the river. More seeds found their home in the soil, and she watched. Some thrived, others failed, but every attempt brought its lesson. One morning, nearly a year after she'd started, a neighbor walked past and stopped. "What's this?" the woman asked, staring at the garden. The young woman looked up from her work. The garden was still small, but it was undeniably alive. Flowers she'd grown from rare seeds bloomed in colors the village had never seen. A small bench sat beneath a young tree. The path curved gently through carefully tended beds. "It's a garden," the young woman said simply. The neighbor walked closer, touching a flower petal with gentle fingers. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "How long have you been working on this?" "Almost a year." "I had no idea." The neighbor looked at her with new respect. "You should tell people about this. They'd want to see it." The young woman smiled but said nothing. She didn't need to tell people anymore. The garden was telling them itself. More neighbors came in the following days. Some offered compliments, some offered help. A few even admitted they'd always wanted to create something similar, but had never tried. The young woman welcomed their interest, but she noticed something important. Now that the garden existed, their doubts couldn't touch it. The dream had become real, and reality doesn't need permission. She continued visiting the old woman in the forest. One afternoon, as they sat together, the young woman asked, "Why do people discourage dreams? Why can't they just be happy for others?" The old woman was quiet for a moment. "Most people aren't trying to be cruel," she finally said. "They're trying to protect you from the disappointment they've felt. They gave up on their own dreams, often because someone else's words convinced them to stop. So when they see you reaching for something, their fear speaks. They think they're being realistic. They think they're helping you avoid pain. But they're wrong. Sometimes, yes. But here's what you must understand. You can't change how people react to your dreams. You can only change how much power you give their reactions. That's why protection isn't about hiding forever. It's about timing. It's about knowing when something is strong enough to survive the storm of other people's opinions." The young woman thought about this as she walked home. She realized the garden had taught her more than how to grow plants. It had taught her about the difference between secrecy and protection, between sharing and seeking validation, between confidence and defiance. Years passed. The garden grew larger and more beautiful. People traveled from distant villages to walk its paths and sit on its benches. The young woman became known for her skill, and she began teaching others who wanted to create their own gardens. But she never forgot the lesson of silence. Whenever someone came to her with a new idea, eyes bright with fresh hope, she'd ask them one question: "Who have you told?" If they'd already told many people and looked discouraged, she'd say gently, "Then stop telling. Start doing. Come back when you have something to show, not just something to say." If they hadn't told anyone yet, she'd smile and say, "Good. Keep it that way for now. Let your hands speak before your mouth does." She'd learned that dreams are like flames in the wind. When they're new, even a small breeze can extinguish them. But if you protect that flame, if you shield it and feed it carefully, it grows into a fire that no wind can blow out. Then you can step back and let it burn bright for everyone to see. The young woman never stopped creating. She built other things beyond the garden. Each time, the same practice guided her. New dreams stayed quiet until they had roots. Early mornings and late evenings became her private workshop. Progress always spoke louder than promises. And each time, when people finally saw what she'd created, they asked the same question. Why didn't you tell us you were doing this? She'd smile and say, I did tell you. I just used my hands instead of my words. There's a small practice that might help you. Tomorrow morning, think of one thing you want to create or change in your life. Don't announce it. Don't post about it. Don't tell your family or friends. Just write it down somewhere private. Then take one small action toward it before the day ends. Just one. It might take 5 minutes. It might take less. But do it in silence. Let that quiet action be your protection. Let it be the first root pushing into the soil. Do this for 30 days and watch how differently your dream grows when it's sheltered from casual opinions. Watch how much stronger you feel when you stop seeking permission and start building proof. If this story found a place in your heart, perhaps it belongs in someone else's too. Share it with them gently. Subscribe to Walk This Path Together, story by story. Your presence here tells me something beautiful, that you're not just listening, but growing. That means more than words can say. I'll see you in the next one.